I get the radius sanded on the rudder, and I'll have the entire frame done and everything sanded. I'd like to share a tip with you on sanding radiuses though. Whether it be on a rudder, like the edge of this rudder, whether it would be on a wingtip or the stabilizer tip, a leading edge, or the corner of the fuselage. The first thing to do is to establish the surface. So the outline of this rudder, the outline of a wingtip, or making sure your leading edge is straight. Then what I do is I get a bright light real close to me. This is important. And I sand a 45 on each side on like a wingtip or a rudder, but on a corner of a fuselage, I only sand 145. On a wingtip or a wing leading edge or a stabilizer, like on this one that had a 1/8 by 1/8 square piece of balsa turned, then I'm just also doing one flat surface. What this does is it gives me a almost perfect radius without any guesswork. In the light here, after I've established the outline, I am sanding a 45 and I'm watching the width of that 45. If you just sand a radius, it's kind of hard to see where it is, the surface they're establishing, and they tend to get wavy, and the radius isn't uniform down the whole length of the surface. And you see it through covering too. So I have a sketch here that I drew up that explains this concept. And I've drawn several views here of the different examples I was talking about. So here is a wingtip, stabilizer tip, or this would also apply to like the rudder surface. Top view, and then that's the edge view. So here's the balsa wingtip, here's a rib, here's a couple spars. So I'm looking at doing the radius on the edge of this wingtip. In this blow up view here, it's a large view. If you establish these two 45s here, so this one and this one, I can watch the width. I'm not guessing. I can accurately, by looking at it in the light, I can sand all the way down the surface, around the surface here. So light's coming in this way, and I'm working my way around the surface, but I'm watching the width of these 45s. If you look at it, once you establish the 45s, here is a radius, a perfect radius. I drew it with this film canister here. Okay. Look at the shaded area, what is left after you establish the 45. So I established the width of these 45, so I'm dividing these up equally. So this width, I can see in the light this flat surface here, and I can see this flat surface. Not much left on the shaded area now. At that point, I can take my sanding block and run down the edge and just knock them little shaded areas off. Here is the corner of a fuselage, and you can see why you only need one 45. So the 45-degree angle was easy to establish just by eyeball, and in the light, you can see that width. Again, like on this corner of the fuselage, not much left on the shaded area. So you'll get a nice accurate radius. This leading edge on this build's a little bit unique. This is the 45 degree 1/8 by 1/8 balsa that's turned on a 45 degree. So here's my rib. Here's the flat bottom airfoil. So I am doing one flat surface down the leading edge of the wing. And I'm maintaining this width all the way down that leading edge. That leaves me with just the shaded area to sand off. So that's a way to get a really nice, accurate radius on all your surfaces. And here is real life example. This takes time, all sanding and finishing does, but watch when I tilt this in the light. I can see the width right here on my outline. I can see the width that I'm sanding down this surface. Very uniform, no guessing. Flip it around to this side, hold it up to the light. Again, I can see the width on the outline, and I can see the width that I've sanded down the surface all the way around. Look at it edgewise. You're real close to a full radius here. Now, real time, what's it take to sand that radius? I am just lightly touching it. I'm knocking off that shaded corner, and then I will look at that radius. As I turn this, I can see like right there, right? I got a corner that needs to come off. So now I am just taking a very small amount. So I'm not going to do this whole surface. It would just take too long on camera. But now if you look at that radius that I have there, you can easily see the high spots. Let's do the other side real quickly, and we'll see what kind of a radius we end up with by just knocking off these shadow areas. I'm going to go that far over. Just work with this area here for time constraints. Now I can see nice uniform radius. Like I can see a shadow here. See where over here? I'm not going to sand it, but see that? There's a little bit to take off there. Look at it right here. Get my hands in here so it focuses on it. Nice uniform radius. So right here, see it? I need to drop my sanding block down here. And again, I'm just seeing where the shadow part of that radius that was left after I established a 45 needs to come off. I can even turn it and sand as I'm watching in the light. So now here is my radius. Nice, beautiful, uniform radius. And I can maintain that all the way down the surface. Here's a quick look at the leading edge. So I didn't take enough time really to really fuss with that radius in that demonstration, but if you look at this leading edge on this stabilizer, it is straight, established straight first, and then like I showed in that view, I did just the width of that flat surface, and then I knocked off just where there was shaded area. Here is a tip. So nice uniform radiuses. So establish that outline first. I never touch that outline, the width part, where I could see where I had that width. Do the 45s and then sand your radius on there. There it is. A large rubber powered free flight model. The frame is complete. Everything's sanded. Everything's fit. I have the rudder and the sub rudder fit to the fuselage and to the stabilizer. Here in that one. I don't normally do this, but stay tuned. Coming up next, carving a balsa wood propeller from this prop block. It's going to be a bit of a challenge to film that, see what we can do, but be the carbon of the propeller and the nose block and all the mechanics of that, getting all that going.